People coming at Conrad because she didn't date Belly before, knowing that she's been in love with him her whole life, is such a non-issue. First of all, yes, he was unaware of his feelings, and it kind of all came at once. He realized, oh shoot, I do have these deep feelings for her, as he explained in season 3. But like, he doesn't owe her a relationship. Just because he has a crush on her doesn't mean he has to date her. But he's always been kind to her. He's always been sweet to her, which is why she has such a big crush on him. It's such a non-issue to sit there and say, why didn't he date her before? He just liked her because she became pretty. Da 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 da. I was like, okay, it's more complex than that, clearly. And if you watch the show, you would understand that. And it's so unnecessary to even try and do that. And here's the thing. Even though Jeremiah said the minute he saw her when she grew up or whatever, he was done for, there's nothing wrong with that either. There's literally nothing wrong with having a best friend you grew up with and then you find them attractive one day. You're like, shoot, well, this would be a perfect match. We already get along. Why not pursue them? That's not a negative thing. But they do make it seem as though Conrad had some sort of unresolved, unknowing feeling about Belly prior to her being pretty, and then it all came to fruition at some point. Like, it's there. I don't know why. Like, it doesn't, and it doesn't even matter either way. I think that may have been intentionally put in the story just to show that there's some sort of deeper meaning between Belly and Conrad, deeper thing between Belly and Conrad. But like, why are we arguing about that? It doesn't matter. And also, they were younger. They were only a couple years apart, but it's like 12 and 14, 16 and 18. Like, they didn't. I mean, I think that's when they did date. Like, what do you want? 12 and 10 to date? Like, what do you think? When they started dating, was perfectly normal and fine. Friendly reminder, we still get these scenes of Belly and Conrad together. And honestly, I think all of us Bond Rads needed this. We needed to see them together. That's all we've been asking for this entire time. The way he looks at her, the way she looks at him, just genuine, authentic joy on both of their faces. This is what we've been waiting for. This is what we want. And we still have 8 more episodes, guys, so there's probably a lot of this to come. Conrad and Belly are endgame. We're going to see a bunch of denial, potential jealousy, a lot of yearning and longing. This is what you want. And then when Conrad says, don't marry him, be with me, y'all gonna cry your eyes out because it's been built up this whole season, or it's going to be built up. And we by no means want to see Jeremiah hurt, but this is the only endgame we will accept because these two simply just belong together. It's actually embarrassing that Jeremiah fans are sitting here saying, he was drunk. You can't consent when you're drunk. Yes, you can. You can't consent when you're blackout, when you're belligerent, when you don't know where you're at or what you're doing. When you're drunk, when you're tipsy, when you can feel it, and you're feeling good, you know what you're doing. That's actually absolutely insane that you're trying to give him a pass for that, or saying that Lacey sexually assaulted him. That's just disrespectful and hurtful to all the people that have actually experienced that. Just because he did a bad thing, okay? He betrayed her. You can still want him with Belly, but we're not going to give him a pass. Like, that's crazy. You could say that he took accountability, which he really didn't. He got caught, and then he took accountability, so I guess. But never was going to say anything. So is that really taking accountability for your actions? I wouldn't say so, but sure. He's trying to rectify it. He's trying to, apologize and get her back, and he did. But it's absolutely insane that you guys are actually trying to say he was sexually assaulted by Lacey. If the show does not paint it in that light, you don't get to read into it. It's like when Russia Hill, when Brooke and Nathan had sex. She was drunk, so Nathan assaulted her, sexually assaulted her. Nathan did that. If it's not a plot point that is being used or made painfully obvious that that's what they're trying to say, you don't get to add that in there. You don't get to sit there and try and make it seem like something it isn't because you don't like the results of what happened. One thing that some Return Pretty fans need to remember is that Belly has loved Conrad her whole life. This whole little blip that we witnessed Conrad at first, at the beginning of the first 2 seasons of him being depressed and upset and emotionally unavailable and treating her so bad, was like a year of his life. She's known him every other year other than that, except for the years she wasn't alive. So when you guys are trying to qualify him and make him seem so bad in her eyes, why does Belly love him? He treated her so bad. She's known him her whole life. She's seen the good side. She sees how good of a person he is and knows he's going through all these terrible things right now with the death of his mother. So we can sit there and say what we've seen is what Belly sees, but that's not true. She sees outside of that because she sees the real him. She sees what we've been seeing in season 3, which is Conrad. And if you didn't see glimpses of that in season 1 and 2, you weren't paying attention. But it shouldn't be so shocking to you that she's in love with him. Okay. Did anybody else hate that conversation between Conrad and Steven where it just felt so uncomfortable? They're like kind of catching up, but it just seems really weird. And just like, these guys were so tight last season. They've been childhood friends their whole lives. And yet it just seemed like they were strangers to one another, which I don't understand personally because I've ran into people that I grew up with who I was really close with, not even on the level that they were. And we're always like, we pick up where we left off. And I understand Conrad's like, he intentionally distanced himself from them because he was like trying to, move on and get away from that, get away from the things that were hurting him, and like grow and mature. But like, and maybe that's why he pushed Steven away too. But it's like, you're back, you're together, and like, it wasn't a bad conversation by any means. And like, I love how Conrad like was when Steven said thank you, and he was like, of course I would help you. Like, why are we even your family? He didn't say that, but like, obviously that's what he was intending or meaning. But I was just like, it was so weird to me. It was uncomfortable and it's sad. So hopefully they rebuild up that relationship, because I loved their dynamic last season. He was really there for him, helping him through his panic attacks, letting him know that he's rooting for him, even though it ended up being Belly and Jeremiah. He was rooting for him, Conrad and Belly. So I hopefully we can see like their relationship blossom again this season, because I really like their dynamic.
So I've been a fan of The Summer Turned Pretty for about like 14 to 15 years. I was 16 when the third book came out and 14 when the first book came out. So I read it every single year growing up, and it is such a special series to me. So I wanted to talk about one of my favorite scenes that I was looking forward to the most when it came to season 3, which was Christmas and Cousins 2.0. I am probably going to do a second part, just because there's a lot for me to talk about. Jenny had said in previous interviews how much detail she really put into these scenes, and I feel like she did not disappoint. I loved every single part from beginning to end. I had some people say, or I read online, that they didn't think that there was enough yearning. I don't really agree with that, considering a few things. One, they aren't together. B, they haven't seen each other in years. And C, she's dating his brother. There were a lot of scenes I feel like us viewers saw. Obviously, Belly never sees when Conrad's looking at her for some reason. But he, like, when they're laying down next to each other, which I'm going to make a separate video on that because there's so many parallels in these scenes as well. But he's kind of like looking at her, but it's a very like yearning, like, I'm so in love with you kind of look. And she's like, I feel like was so spot on when Belly like falls down the stairs. She's wearing the pajamas that Susanna got her that are red, of course, because loving him is red, and they're longer in the legs, so that causes her to fall down the stairs, which that also happens in the book. So I love that they kept all of that the same. And the way that Conrad is like just looking at her and he's like, no, still here. Like, I am still so in love with you. It's crazy. But I love their chemistry in like Belly falling down the stairs and Conrad just like, I want to help you so much. And then we got him carrying her. He picks her up and carries her. And you can totally see, I don't know if that's Lola or if that's Belly. It's hard to tell. But she's like peeking looks at him. And I'm like, it was so cute. And I was like, girl, I probably would have done the same thing. But he's just so gentle, like the way that he holds her and like carries her over to the couch, which... it felt like you were pulling the chapter completely out of the book, and I just loved it. And with the wet hair, she always thinks he looks the most romantic with wet hair, so it was very much on par for that. But I'm going to make a part 2 for this.
Let me remind you that the scene literally plays out exactly like the book. Just because we don't have the narration for that scene doesn't change the fact that that's how she's feeling. You would have to be insanely delulu, which is normal for the Jelly fandom, I've learned, to watch this scene and not know how she's feeling. You could see the exact moment where she realizes that Jeremiah is next to her because she was only looking at Conrad. This is why I feel like in this season, the narrations are so important, because you don't know just how meaningful certain scenes are unless you read the books. And obviously, yeah, there's scenes that don't play out exactly, but there are scenes that you can tell what scenes they are from the books, but because you don't get the narration, you're like, oh, like, this is not technically canon because we didn't get the narration for it, so it's just like a normal scene. Like, no, just because you don't get that, when the scene is literally word for word exactly, or like how it's portrayed is exactly how it is described in the books, you don't need a narration for that. It's clearly what's happening. That's like having the Christmas and Cousins. If Belly didn't have the narration, that's like saying, oh, like, she clearly isn't still in love with Conrad just because we don't have the narration. Like, even without that narration, you could tell that she's still clearly in love with Conrad.
Just because somebody is 18 and the government decided that that was an old enough age to draft people into the war does not mean that they are a fully fledged adult capable of making the best decisions for themselves. Belly Conklin is still living in the dorms at college. Her parents are still funding her college tuition. She still lives at home when she's not at college. She is not in a financial stable moment in her life to take on a responsibility such as marriage. Now, you could argue that if she really wants to do it, then she can go and support herself financially through a marriage. Of course, she's at the legal age to do that. She does not have to stay with her parents. But that doesn't mean her mom has to react in a positive way. You also have to remember Laurel, the character, and why she would react that way, right? So she got pregnant with Stephen Young. She got a shotgun wedding with John. And just because she ended up having 2 beautiful kids and a somewhat stable marriage and a decent life does not mean that she didn't endure a lot of hardships. It hasn't shaped her into the person that she is, where she felt like maybe she wasn't able to fully, tap into her creative side with her author, being an author, that she felt like she missed out on opportunities, and she doesn't want that for her daughter. Little backstory on me, I got pregnant at 21, and I have a 15-year-old, and my mom did not react warm and happy when I came home and told her that I was keeping the baby and I was going to be a mom, right? Because I was still also a junior in college living in the dorms. And I didn't understand my mom's reaction at the time. But now, as a 37-year-old woman with a child, I now understand why my mom reacted that way. Because she also had a baby young. And she was like disappointed in me for now having to kind of follow her footsteps. And it sucked. It was really hard being a single mom for the first 8 to 10 years of my life. I was not financially stable. We moved around a lot. I'm finally good. We're great. I'm engaged now. But it was really, really difficult. And I don't wish that on my daughter. So I would probably also react poorly to a decision that I thought could really impact her life in the ways that I got impacted. And that doesn't mean that people won't come around and accept things if it's truly what they want to do. But that doesn't mean your initial reaction is always going to be just like, oh, okay, sure. Yeah, you're over 18. I support you. I mean, that's just not realistic. And the last thing I will say on this topic is when people say, well, if it was Conrad, Laurel would react differently. No, because Conrad would never. Conrad would never be proposing to Belly without a ring, sporadically, impulsively, while they're still in college. If anything, Conrad would have probably broke up with Belly when he went to Stanford anyways, or eventually had, because he wouldn't have wanted him to be holding her back in a long distance relationship, right? He would not want her following him. He would want her to live her entire life. And yeah, Jeremiah is supportive of Belly going to Paris, but Conrad would be desperately encouraging her to go out and see the world. He's very much like Laurel. He's a realist. And I think part of the reason why he's not with Belly is because he felt like he was, I don't even think I know, is because he felt like he was holding her back. So Conrad would never do this. So this whole conversation and discourse around that is just stupid.
I'm watching the new episode of Submerged and Pretty in bed because it's 2:30 a.m. Yeah, my laptop is literally in front of my face. But I'm losing it because they kept the line in from the book where Adam is Conrad's so happy to have his little sister around again. And Conrad playing along is yeah, little sis. Bruh. And he is such a bad father. They were together for months. And he didn't even fucking know. That is just so wild to me. Oh my god. But look at his face. Oh. He's so happy to see her. And he is not happy Conrad is seeing her.
How does Belly shaving her legs twice before going to Cousin's beach tell us that she's still in love with Conrad Fisher? Let's discuss. Just like in The Great Gatsby, where the blue curtains aren't just blue curtains, shaving your legs twice in the summer engine party isn't just shaving your legs twice. I'm proud of that one. Right before Belly goes to Cousin's Beach for Susanna's garden dedication, we get this scene of her getting ready to head off. And if you haven't read the books, you're like, oh, she's just really excited to get ready to tell everybody that she's gonna marry Jeremiah. But that ain't the case in the books at all. We know this from this scene where Belly and Laurel are already ready and they're in the car, and Laurel goes, do you think Connie's gonna show up? And basically Belly's like, don't count on it, Mom. And if we were just watching the show, it'd be like, oh, she just doesn't think that Conrad's gonna show up. But we get that little peek into her head. And she basically says in her brain, because we have access to it, would I have taken extra care with my hair if I didn't think he was gonna show up? Would I have taken extra care to shave not once but twice? To wear those heels that make my feet hurt? I knew he was gonna be there. I didn't think, I knew. No matter what the girlie says, she's still down bad. And that little band-aid she puts on, it's gonna play a huge role in a future episode. Let me just see that. What did you guys think about this? You missed the narration? Please let me know.
You guys notice the absence of Belly's narration while she's getting ready for the garden ceremony? I think this is a very deliberate change to remove her narration and instead replace it with Please, Please, Please by Sabrina Carpenter. It totally changes the context of the scene. In the book, it's not confirmed if Conrad will be at the flower ceremony, but Belly knows deep down that he will be there. Because she thought he was coming, she did her hair really special, she shaved her legs twice, and she cut herself. And she wore a brand new dress and heels that made her feet hurt. All of this pretty much aligns with exactly what she's saying she did in the book, except for one thing. Conrad has confirmed that he's not going to be there. Laurel says he's missing it. Her and Jeremiah even talk about how he's missing it when they're on the phone too. So instead, I think the song is actually telling us why she's doing all of this primping. Belly and Jeremiah just got engaged and they're preparing to tell their family today. Song is telling us that Belly thinks she has good judgment and good taste, but that nobody else agrees with her and only she feels that way. She's about to present this huge life-changing announcement to her family and she's really afraid of how Laurel and Adam are going to react. She's trying to defend this insane decision that they're making and prove to everybody that she's making a good decision for herself. I think she also always saw Susanna as a beautiful, supportive wife to Adam, and so she wants to kind of step into that role. And we know that Jeremiah fell in love with her when she turned pretty, so she's kind of just keeping up with that. She's also just dressing more mature to really support her new mature decision that she's making. Overall, I think the removal of her narration actually removes any tie of Conrad to her getting ready for this. She's excited for the announcement and she's super excited about the engagement. She's just really in love with Jeremiah and she's pushed all of her feelings and thoughts about Conrad aside. So they're obviously coming back soon, hopefully next week. Since he's so out of sight, he's so out of mind. Kind of lying to herself, and by not telling the audience what she's thinking, she's kind of hiding her true feelings from us too.
I'm just assuming everyone that's a fan of Conrad and Belly that is fearful that they're not going to end up together has not heard the spoilers about the books. And if you have not heard any spoilers, please stop right now watching this video because I don't want to ruin it for you. But, like, from the first season, everyone is saying in the comment sections, like, oh, Jerry's going to cheat on Belly. Don't worry, our end game is coming. Oh, they get engaged and, like, you know, Conrad's helping her with the wedding. But then, you know, it's not going to work out. She's going to end up with Conrad. So it's like, and they still could change that in the show. But, like, people are like, after everything that's going on, she's committing to Jerry. And I just don't see it going the other direction. Like, that's literally the storyline that we were told in the comment section while everyone was spoiling us. I've known the whole plot of this book pretty much since the first season. Not everything, obviously, but I'm just like, why are we losing hope? Why are we worried about this? Is it crazy that she went from one brother to the other and then got engaged to this brother and she's not even in love with this brother to the degree that she is with Conrad, and then we're going to have to go through this whole thing of planning the wedding even though she is hopelessly in love with Conrad? Yes, that's really weird. It's weird. There's no other way to put it. It's just I don't see how she can go back. She did in the books. She did in the books. And honestly, I can see it. Because she's not as in love with Jeremiah as she is with Conrad. The star-crossed lovers thing we just saw in this most recent episode, it's like, yeah, that happened. You don't do that. You don't look at another person like that when you are completely content in what you are currently in. So don't lose hope. I think Conrad Endgame is on its way.
So my emotional threshold is real low at the moment. Low or high? I can never get that right. I get emotional very easily lately, and I just watched this scene of Conrad in therapy and then having that flash of him seeing Belly, and it's like, oh. It's like I mean, I know people have talked about this before, but I think it's never bad to repeat how moving it is that his idea of coming home is coming home to her. Oh, it just kills me. And I mean, he gets a lot of praise for that, or recognition, I suppose, for that. And I've seen, it hasn't surprised me that whole rhetoric about, you know, Belly doesn't deserve Conrad and all this kind of stuff. Doesn't surprise me that that's in full force. But I also think he's almost in the advantage of being able to reckon with that, whereas she hasn't been able to really reckon with that, and is partially maybe using her relationship with Jeremiah as a way to move beyond it, because it's too painful to linger, because he used to be her home, and then she felt like the truth was he didn't want her as his home, if that makes any sense. And so even though that was her dream for a while, she had to like move past it. And anyway, I honestly think ultimately it's gonna end with both of them coming home to like one another, but then also like specifically at Cousins. And I don't know, everything about that therapy scene is just, it's so beautifully done, like the editing, and when you have that image of her, I don't know, something about it just like really, I feel like all the videos lately I'm making about Bonrad just is me crying. But and thank you so much for everybody just being so validating of that and so nice about it. And I know I'm not alone in that either, but and I think Chris does a really good job in that scene too, because he has to evoke that imagery. Like obviously we see it because, you know, we get the visual image of her, but he has to evoke that as an actor, and I fully like believe him in that moment. And like just that pause he kind of takes, I don't know why it makes me cry before he like has that image of her, like she's his home. I don't know, it just like really gets me. Anyway, and I encourage everybody to go back and watch that scene because it's so beautiful. And I think as well it is absolutely it's absolutely telegraphing or foreshadowing how it's going to end. And I think ultimately, you know, Conrad is Belly's home too, but she's not, unfortunately, you know, she had to sort of position herself to move on with her life, believing that, yeah, he didn't want her anymore. But anyway, so we're gonna figure that out. We're gonna fix that. Anyway, just wanted to share that about that scene. Chris is so beautiful in that scene. It's just such a beautiful scene too. I don't know if we're ever going to see him back in therapy. I mean, I think you can see him, and therapy work isn't linear either. It's, you know, it can be 2 steps forward, 1 step back, 1 step forward, 5 steps back kind of thing. And you have to like practice these new skills like over and over and over again. And so I think we've both seen the work he's been doing in therapy, but also still that he needs to keep going to therapy. So I don't know if we're going to see him back in that space again, but I just love and I really, my absolute hope, well, actually I have a couple of hopes, is that either he's going to tell Belly that he's in therapy, or even have a discussion with his brother about it, Jeremiah about it, or even maybe his dad or Laurel. But really I hope Belly, because Belly doesn't really get that insight, not for lack of trying, but in like really not aware of his panic attacks, really not, I mean, he kind of has shared with her a little about his anxiety, but not a lot. And so I think that would be really good for him to share that with her, and that she has that opening with him. I think that's really important for their relationship, actually. Anyway, just wanted to share that. That's so beautiful. Okay, I'm gonna play this video and I'm gonna say something. Yeah, I've been listening to Mystery of Love and trying not to cry.
Lord, I no longer believe, drowned in living waters, cursed by the love that I receive.
that kills me is it's like, you could like interpret that as, you know, because I think she's been trying not to, like, she has to lock Conrad aside, put him aside. She can't think of him, can't dream about him really, because for so long he was her dream, and she would dream about him after they had broken up. And so like seeing him again is like, it's like she's in a dream, and that's kind of how it feels like with the slow-mo and like the slow blinking, and for both of them it's like seeing each other is like being in a dream, but obviously being, you know, being awake. But I think why that makes me cry is, I mean, mystery of love, I'm doing that to myself, but also the idea of because I think Lola plays that so well, because I think you see this briefness of like, oh, it's you, like, I remember what it was like to dream about you, and like seeing you again, it's like this dream that I'm taken back to, but then, you know, having to like remember like, oh, I can't keep dreaming, I'm now with Jeremiah now, and I can't let myself go there. And I see that so much in Lola's performance, so I think it's been interesting for me to see. Interesting, but I suppose not necessarily surprising, people having the argument that like Belly's been cold to him, when that's the point. That's the entire point. She could not go. She says to Taylor in season 2, that type of love with him was so raw, so painful, but so uniquely beautiful that I never want to experience that type of love again. But that's also her conveying to her friend and to the audience, I cannot go back there with him, because if I let myself even dream, then like it will, you know, destroy me all over again. And so like that's the whole point within season 3, and like why she seems cold, even though I think in Lola's performance it's so subtle. There's a subtlety of like, you see these hints on her face, like sort of that pull back to him, that reminder, that like peek behind the curtain kind of thing. But she has to keep him away. She has to keep back because she can't go back there again. And again, you know, it's this idea of she thinks he doesn't want her anymore. So like it would almost be so delusional of her in a way. You could make the argument to just continue pining for him so openly, if that makes any sense. So it makes sense to me. I make sense to me, hopefully. Just this idea of it's more subtle, because she has to make it subtle, because, you know, you can't like, you have to like function. You can't constantly be operating on this level of like longing for this other person, because it just destroys you. And that's how I interpreted her line to Taylor in season 2. But you can see it in little moments like that, just like the flicker on her face. And it's like, again, it's like she's back in a dream, like Conrad was her dream and Belly's his dream, and blah blah blah. I know. Oh. Anyway, I just love that moment so much. I love it so much, and I'm scoring it with mystery of love, because I am that weirdo. That's my brand of mental illness. Okay, he looks at her like this. He's looking at Belly. Right after Laurel is expressing that she remembers the first time she traveled abroad and how amazing it felt. And I wonder, and I hope even, that we get a scene where they refer to the fact of she told him about her dream of going to Paris. Like maybe they had talked, I don't know, it doesn't really make any sense because they dated before she went to college. But I also wonder if maybe she had expressed that desire to him, or a dream of hers, to travel specifically to Paris. I don't know, because something about his look to her, I mean, you could just generally say he's looking at her like this because it's her and it's him. But I also wonder if it's pointed, or it's loaded in a significant way, specifically related to the abroad thing, only because it comes right after
yeah, Laurel making that or saying that. And I wonder even if we'll get a separate scene of him congratulating her and saying, yeah, of course you have to do this, like do this, go travel abroad. And then it will like signal forward to when he like goes and finds her in Paris or something. I don't know, something like that. Anyway, I think there's something to this look to her here, and yeah, either maybe we'll find out that she had talked to him about that hope of maybe one day going to Paris specifically, or just traveling specifically. I don't know. I kind of hope so. Or we'll get a moment of him like saying, yeah, I know you wanted to do this and now you're going to do it. Because, you know, they talk a lot about his goal for, Stanford in 2, but not so much about hers. And so I would like that sort of not reframing, but the focus on her goals and him supporting her the way she supported him in 2 anyway. Oh,
He's the world.
I don't know. It's so... Also, he looks especially like Leonardo DiCaprio on the scene. I mean, I know people do say that about Chris, but he really looks like him in this scene. Anyway, the way he's looking, it kills me. And sorry, I'm just adding, he smiles a little bit. Sorry, I should have kept continuing this thing. This especially is why I think it's going to come back, because he smiles like he knows that this is what she wants, or like maybe he's so happy for her that that's going to happen, and maybe we'll never refer back to this moment again, like it's just this like subtle moment. But I fucking love it. He's so this moment of being happy for her that she's going to experience this, and I hope that's referenced in some way, that he knew they had talked about that was a dream of hers. Anyway, I love that little moment, Chris. It's so good. Does Tom turn up? Oh, I guess he doesn't. I know he does, because he's at the lunch. Oh god, he's gonna randomly be there. Oh god, oh god, oh god, oh god. What kind of flowers do you want? Okay, sorry, calm down. I don't know. Oh, here we go. He's gonna show up. Like... Oh, my heart. Oh, her heart too. Oh, the wave. Oh my god. Oh my god. Hey, man. Oh. I can't believe you made it. That makes me so happy.
Yeah, I moved some things around. I hopped on a red eye. That's my boy. I'll do
Hug.
Still got time for family?
Belly.
Relax, I'm not a doctor yet. Dude.
Yeah. That's very sweet. Oh my god, I can't believe he's here. Oh my god. Hi. Oh my god. Hi. Oh my god. Oh, he did pick her up.
Really glad to have his little sister around again. How you been, little sis?
Oh my god.
You've been great.
It's been a while.
Oh
Picture time.
my god.
Photo maybe by the bench?
Great.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Let's do it.
My heart is running. Oh my god. Oh my god.